We are in the final realm of the Dagara elemental wheel, coming into the fire and reclaiming our indigenous knowledges of the spirit of fire and waking up our spirit fires inside, our sacred fires inside, for the sake of lighting the eighth fire, a new way forward for humanity. But we will start here, where the state of the world is right now, in pathological fire consuming us at all levels of life, and how our modern colonial scientific views of light have sent us down a path of destruction, of misunderstanding light and how to work with this element to maintain harmony with nature and the cosmos and one another. We are inflamed at all levels, our bodies, chronic illness, chronic inflammatory disease, climate destabilization and warming, the forest fires that are literally engulfing us right now, and the firearms warfare, societal fires, the hate and oppositions and tension and extremes with no meetings, as only the straightness of a line permits. Extremes with no meetings. The linear colonial structures of the modern world are the underlying cause of this inflammation. In their book, Inflamed, Deep Medicine and the Anatomy of Injustice, medical doctor Rupa Mara and her husband, a food systems scientist Raj Patel, say inflammation is a biological, social, economic, and ecological pathway, all of which intersect and whose contours were made by the modern world. They go on to write, unlearning capitalist cosmology cannot be done alone. As a project of individual therapy, health is not the static condition of an independent organism, but a state of dynamic interaction of systems within systems, synchronized and harmonized in ways that support the thriving of the entire whole. Health is not something that can be attained as individuals for ourselves, hermetically sealed off from the world around us. An injury to one is an injury to all. We can be healthy only when the entire community is also healthy, meaning all beings. Plants, animals, water, people, soil, and air, the ancestors, and those not yet born. And this is achievable only through social, economic, political, ecological, and cosmological spheres working in integrated fashion to benefit all. This vision is not wishful thinking, but is already in our midst. Indigenous knowledge systems and the people for whom this understanding is not about theoretical possibilities, but part of their lived truths, can show us how it's done. And to that, I will turn to Melodoma Some, West African shaman, medicine man, diviner, knowledge keeper, and the indigenous West African conceptions of fire. He writes, fire is the original element of origin, the one that was present at the beginning. Its primal nature is combustion, warmth, vision, and feeling. Its position in the wheel is south, the underworld, and its color is red. It is the state to which everything else returns, the state the ancestors are in. As we walk the earth, we are warmed by the heat of the ancestors coming from the underworld below us. Fire opens the doorway to the spirit world and allows our psyche to commune with other life, present, past, and future. Fire is like a connecting rod, an open channel. In fact, fire is our psyche, the spirit part of us that knows what has always been. It is our ability to act, emote, and intuit. The fire person is someone with an eye to the world of the ancestors in spirit. He or she is in charge of the gateway between this world and the other, the ancestral. The person understands dream imagery and can translate and interpret dreams for people. To the fire person, they live at the edge between human culture and ancestral culture. His or her task is to go back and forth between two worlds. There is a unique aspect to such a person due to this ability to see into both worlds. He goes on to say, if a person or culture forgets its crucial relationship to the other worlds, that is, with the ancestors, a fire is ignited that becomes a destructive force in society. When that happens, a person or culture suddenly perceives almost everything in terms of fire. Fire becomes equated with power, speed, hierarchy, and value. All this is symptomatic of a culture in combustion. When one's culture is burning, it is impossible to sit still and keep focused like a ball of fire moving at high speed. A culture on fire is fascinated with speed. The speed shows up as horsepower on the surface, but deep within it is orchestrated by combustion. The burning within is symptomatic of some kind of crisis that drives people to remain endlessly on fire. When a culture is caught in fire, its people's perceptions of the world is red. As they rush ceaselessly forward with a consumer's mentality, they pollute everything in their way, conquering and destroying anything that interferes. Fire culture promotes consumerism and cultivates scarcity in order to increase restlessness, and then uses the restless, burning psyche as an energy to increase production and consumption. Meanwhile, the culture on fire is fascinated by violence. As a matter of fact, violence proves to be highly marketable and stimulates the fiery nature of the culture as a whole. Consequently, a fire culture is a war culture. It sees solutions in terms of fire and conflicts as fire that can be resolved with more fire. Such a culture will require a lot of water to heal. The dominant modern culture has forgotten our indigenous understandings of fire and how to work with this element for nourishing our connection to spirit and the ancestors, for opening our spiritual sight, for being able to see the visions and dreams and prophecies that will show us the way to lighting the eighth fire, a new way forward for humanity and all of life. And to that, we now go to Dave Duchesne and the eighth fire prophecy. So as a reminder, the eighth fire prophecy is an Anishinaabe prophecy from the Ojibwe peoples, though versions of it I've heard told across many First Nations, Native American communities. It tells of the time that we're in right now, the seventh fire, where each fire is an epoch of time, and it tells of humanity coming to a fork in the road at this time in the seventh fire, and one path will lead towards continued materialism and destruction for almost all living creatures, where the other road will lead to a spiritual way upon which the native people will be standing. And while the native people will lead the way, people from all over the world will come together, bringing their indigenous knowledges from all four curves of the world, and to come around the fire as one full circle to teach one another our indigenous ways, along with modern Western sciences as well, reconciled together with the indigenous knowledges, to bring a new way forward of peace and harmony and a new earth where the destruction of the past will be healed. And it is said, if enough of us choose this spiritual path, then the sacred fire will be lit, and this new way forward will be lit. Dave Duchesne speaks about how each curve of the world, I like to say curve of the world as opposed to each corner, the corners connect in the center, but the curves connect the circle, and so each nation is a curve nation. And he talks about how there's gifts that come from each of the curves of the world, and where the white nation has been given the gift of fire and mind, the white nation being the Europeans. The yellow nation's been given the gift of air and emotion. This is Eastern, Central Asia, the Asian countries. The Black nation, the Western curve, has been given the gifts of water and body, and the indigenous peoples of North and South America, the Aboriginals of Australia, the Red Nation, has been given the gift of earth and spirit. And Dave says how a lot of the technology created by the white race is fire, and it is the responsibility of the white race to understand their gift and the meaning of what fire is, and how to use the gift of the mind to create things that don't destroy, where the red man's understanding of spirit and connection to the land would act as the foundation of a mind creating a technology that does not destroy the world.